Welcome back, Guardians. Welcome back to a story long since forgotten, buried by years of mistreatment and pressing crises. A set of names hollowed in both legend and in infamy, etched within the stone slab of time, forever echoing within our consciousness. Many cryptarchs and warlocks feared these names would eventually make a resurgence. Eventually, they crawl out from their crypt of timeless whispers to take hold of the imaginations of you and I alike. We speak, of course, of the legend Shin Malphur and his arch-enemy Dredgen Yor. Their stories are a part of us, especially now with more Guardians taking the name Dredgen, wearing this to honor an evil emptiness, a false hope, or to instill fear into their rivals. Since the awakening of the Traveler, we have seen many new Guardians. Some have always been with us, but now step out into the shadow of the last city, capturing, taking essence, or exploring ascendant realms still far outside our understanding. Perhaps Shin Malphur was but one of many, hiding within shadows. And perhaps he knows us better than our closest allies could claim. We are both conqueror, akin to Dredgen, and hero, akin to Jaren Ward. Or perhaps we are neither, simply Guardians making their own fate. Several letters from Shin Malphur, the last renegade of the ancient days, before Guardians and factions, before the Taken and Red Wars, seemingly directed at many would-be hunters seeking ever greater challenges, more dangerous hunts or ever elusive prey. He followed our journey to find redemption, or was it vengeance for our hunter vanguard, questioning our very morals in our quest for absolution? How did it feel? Hunting the crow, tracking him through the tangled wilds of the reef, hunting the barons one by one, stalking the cutthroats who killed your friends. Was it righteous or pure anger, vengeance driven by a lust for justice? It's a legitimate question, Guardian, something you should continue to ask yourself. What are your true motivations? Is it to restore hope, rebuild the safety and security ripped away from us? Is it glory? Taking down a piece of awoken royalty is no small feat. Certainly, they will remember your name as they whisper your greatness within the heart of the city streets. Or was it anger? We had something taken from us unfairly, without warning. Our very hearts ripped from our chest with no remorse or care of the effect. But Shin also suffered greatly, his story in parallel to ours, as if we are repeating a cycle of death and hardship. Dredgen Yor would take his home, Palamon, from him, and his mentor, seemingly the de facto father, Jaren Ward. Imagine his heart, his very soul, has been touched by a man, or better, monster, and then put back together after years of wandering the earth in solitude, angry at a world for its delivery of heartbreak. But be mindful, Guardians. Shin is not an admiring fan destined to occupy the sidelines, unaffected by our exertion against the galaxy. He warns you, warns against what you could become. You are great. You are mighty, you are curious, but you are also imperfect. You balance between the light and the dark, the sky and the deep, in the hopes of harnessing new and ever more devastating powers, all in the hopes of repelling the dark, the hungering abyss that shadows your every movement. Yet here we are, you, a guardian worthy of legend, dancing ever closer to the edge of an abyss, and I, one who stands against those who attempt such a fate. Yet I, for the first time, haven't moved to stop the music. Shin has been a silent operative, rooting out potential Dredgenyors, guardians who have lost themselves in devastation and are deemed unworthy to wield the light. But Malphur is no murderer. But he is not the polar opposite of his archenemy. The light and the dark are not easy to divide. We can't section off guardians who have pushed themselves into the abyss, because in each of us lies a certain gray matter. We are capable of light and dark, of redemption and devastation. Do not forget this, Guardian. We are not so holy as to be incorruptible. But no, should you ever overreach, should the consequences of the steps you take catch innocence in your wake, should your path veer blindly towards the perversion of your will and the whispers become your truth, I will be there to end it. And you, but you already knew I was going to say that, understand this is not a threat. It's just the way of things. Malphur watches from afar, just close enough to know who you are, what you are, but still distant to threaten death without so much a warning. Truly, a character of legend worthy of his pedigree. But Malphur has seen a change in this war of dark and light, the war that rages within your soul, the corruption that whispers to provide comfort, warmth, a retreat of all things imposing. And that change? Gray. Just a slight tint of gray that allows guardians like yourself to act nobly in cause and conviction, but also to enact retribution, to wield some of the darkness we all fight against. The weapons of sorrow are an explicit example, utilizing the sword logic of the hive, battling against Riven and her endless opportunity for wishes with your own hopes. All of these acts require a bit of gray. You aren't a saint. You aren't the speaker reborn to enact the traveler's will upon the unworthy. You are something more. Much, much more. And our silent protector Shin Malphur sees this, your radiance almost blinding, your ability to change fate. Stay safe, Guardian. Stay, well, you. You remain our greatest hope. And so as long you walk the fine line between corruption and purity, we may just have a chance. Keep the light, Guardian. So, the story of Shin Malphur and Dredgenyor is pretty darn interesting. On one hand, you have a warrior who has everything taken from him, in this case Shin Malphur, to fight against those who have everything, or at least had everything, Dredgenyor. It's interesting to see Bungie kind of go back to this storyline. It was probably the most interesting, at least the most popular storylines in Destiny 1. So it's great to see this return to a classic, so to speak. It's also interesting that Shin operates in sort of a gray area, and we're seeing more and more characters in the storyline do the same. The Drifter being a good example of a, quote, gray character. He's definitely still good, still of the light, but not so much that he would never commit a moral crime. The line about Guardians wearing the Dredgen title is also pretty interesting. So I'm a really big fan, a huge fan, of lore talking directly to subtle touches in the game, like the title system. It really gives us kind of a bit more of a good feeling about this world, in that they're fleshing it out, using these lore cards to speak directly to you as a Guardian, or speak directly to sort of things or titles or weapons or events that are actively occurring within our space. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lore video. You guys are awesome, and obviously more lore to come.